Hi, my name is Sean Roosen. I'm the founder, CEO, and chairman of Osisko Development Corporation. I'm also the founder of Osisko Gold Royalties and the co-founder of the Osisko Group of Companies. Here today to talk to you about Osisko Development Corporation, which has a large project in BC and one in Utah. I was going to talk to you about a company that I founded called Falco Resources, which has a large VMS deposit located in Rouyn-Noranda, which we think is going to have a bit of a moment in sports history as they head towards their mining permit here in Quebec.
Right. Almost a 3-for-1, but we're going to let Jason do that in a second with OR royalties. We're going to have a 2-for-1. So let's start with the Osisko development, right? So we talked on stage, I think yesterday, about how things are progressing there. Maybe just give us a quick update and I'll kind of dive into it.
So the big story at Osisko Development is we received our permits for construction of a 5,000 ton a day mine, and it's going to give us 200,000 ounces a year to start. Located in central British Columbia, about an hour and a half south of Prince George, on pavement, on grid power. And we've invested about $700 million in this project, so it's well advanced. Over 700,000 meters of drilling, 2 million ounces of reserves, another 1.6 million ounces mission indicated, and another 1.8 million ounces in inferred. It's a brownfield site, classic Osisko. We've gone to a historic mining site, introduced a couple of new geological ideas, and then do what we call SUDS, which stands for Shut Up and Drill Stupid. We drilled the bejesus out of the place, and we've put together what we think is the next gold mine to be built in Canada, and probably one of the more interesting ones in terms of size and how well it can scale. We got involved in this project in 2015 with my business partner at the time, Eric Sprott, on this deal. We've taken it on, and that's my current dedication of 99% of my time goes to ODV and the Cariboo Gold project.
Right. Okay. Permits that must be a relief.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's only 2 permitted gold mines in Canada right now that are shovel ready. Us and Seabridge. They're about a $6.5 billion capex. This is about 650 million US capex. So it's
we always
quite
talk
interesting.
About timing, don't we? We always talk about timing. This market right now seeing a lot of mergers of equals, acquisitions. The big guys are throwing up money for fun. They're picking up deals cheap for them. Not too many projects like this. So in terms of next cabs off the rank, this must feature quite highly.
I think we're mentioned in every M&A target that's out there right now. If I look at all the top 10 M&A ideas that come out, ODV is always on the list. I'm a mine builder. I'm here to build it, and whatever happens along the way. Canadian Malartic was a similar story. We set out to build that. You know, we found and built Canada's largest gold mine, now the 9th largest gold mine in the world. We got put into a hostile in 2014 by Gold Corp. We sold that asset to Agnico and Yamana, and we founded Osisko Gold Royalties. So we sold that one for $4.1 billion in 2014. And Osisko Gold Royalties is now worth over $6 billion. I believe we're going to have Jason Attu on next.
In moments from now.
And then, we created the Osisko Development as one of our subcos there. We also created Osisko Mining, which we recently sold to Goldfields for $2.16 billion. We also created Osisko Metals, which has the Gaspé copper deposit, over 1 billion tons of material with about a 0.32 grams. So we've had a bunch of big projects on the Osisko platform, and the Cariboo Gold project is now the fully permitted one. That we're building out.
Okay, so you've got this wonderful habit of like building stuff, preparing stuff to build, but then selling. In an instance like this,
Canadian Malartic, we actually built and produced.
You're attacked with some like
the situation here, right, with permits in place, is that enough for the next guy to come along and say, look, we'll pick it up from here. We've got our own designs, our own plans, we'll interpret it how we think.
So what we think happens here, we're about a $375 million market cap right now. We're going to announce the project financing here in the next 1 to 2 months, which will take a lot of the risk off the table.
Right.
And it should give the stock a good chance to rebound. If we compare it to the G Mining story, they did a similar thing about 2 years ago with this project in Brazil. They got their first mining production, $170,000 ounces a year. And then they got their second project in Guyana, and they're now a $4.3 billion market cap. We have our first project fully permitted in Canada. We're going to build it in the next 24 months. First gold will be in 2027, and the first full year production will be in 2028. This is a project that's very well advanced. We're on paved road. We have grid power from BC Hydro. And we also have a lot of our equipment in place. We own the comminution circuit in the mill that we bought from a project from Hud Bay that's sitting in Prince George. And we also have about $150 million worth of infrastructure in place, and we're underground already mining. We've got about 1,200 meters of underground development into it. So we're in construction as we speak.
Right.
So every day we de-risk this project. People get to know the project better. Whatever happens to it, we do have a large shareholder. OR owns 24% of it. We have another cornerstone area that owns 9.9.
Yeah.
Those are shareholders that want to get paid.
Yeah.
And they want to get paid right. So, we're marching forward up the value chain. As we go across the so-called Lassonde curve, we're coming up the value chain as we de-risk and, between here, construction, commissioning, and then production.
So to talk about the end production profile, we've got the open pit and underground, haven't we?
So we're underground to
How do you
start.
phase that?
So we're starting underground right now.
Right.
And we have 2 million ounces in the reserve category at 3.8 grams.
Yeah.
Which, to put that in context, Young-Davidson and Goldex and LaRonde would be the analogs to this in terms of bulk tonnage underground. This would be the higher grade of all those three mines. Young-Davidson is about 2.2 grams, which is the cornerstone asset of Alamos. Goldex is underground at 1.52 grams, big Agnico asset. And LaRonde is underground the same grade as us, 3.62 grams. You could put all three of those mines in the footprint of this deposit and still have room for one more Young-Davidson. So this is basically 4 mines in the area. It's about a 4.4 kilometer strike.
Yeah.
But that 4.4 kilometers has another 10 kilometers of known strike to it, in an overall mineralized trend of 50 kilometers long, and a second repeat trend beside it.
Right.
And we control this entire camp.
Right.
So this is a mining camp. It's the same size as Val-d'Or,
Right.
and it's about the same length as some of the bigger camps in Nevada.
Right.
So we think this is going to be a company maker asset. We've been to the rodeo before. We know what big looks like.
Yeah.
So we're focused on unlocking the value here. So we start out in phase 1, 200,000 ounces a year. Underground development continues. There's potential for an open pit on the Proserpine side. We need more work on that, but we started with this. We have the permit for 5,000 tons a day underground. We think we can scale to 7,500 tons and then up to 10 or 11,000 tons and then up to 15,000.
Right.
The current plan calls for 200,000 ounces a year of production. However, we believe that by the time we finish construction, we should be able to step on the gas and go to a larger than that. So that gives us our first project. The second project is actually the infill drilling to convert the rest of the resource,
Yeah.
the measured and indicated and the inferred, that's access the infrastructure on the first 2 million ounces, accesses the other deposits. And if we get a 50%, 60% conversion rate from the measured and indicated and the inferred, we would be able to double the reserves, and that would give us our second mine essentially off the same infrastructure.
Right. Now, share price was key. Moving sideways, but you got the permit. Had a bit of a reaction to that.
Yeah,
right?
stock is at about $2 US, about
Yeah.
275 to 280 Canadian. So we're above the last deal price. We financed last year. We raised 140 million Canadian
Yeah.
at about $1.80 US.
Right.
So 92 million US was what we raised.
What are people waiting for? What do they need? you
Project
to bring?
financing
Project
is
financing.
the big
Why in
overhang.
this market would they down you?
Because I think that, seeing what that project financing looks like, I mean, we've seen other companies that have unlocked with the announcement of their project financing, like Skena and and G Mining and some of the others. So I think that, this company has gained traction, especially over the last month or so, off the gold price. And we published this updated feasibility study at the beginning of May. We've been marketing into that feasibility study so that people understood it. It's simplified from our 2023 one, so it's direct drive, 881 million Canadian capex, 650 million US. It gets you a 200,000 ounce a year mine.
Payback?
On grid power, so it's a 1.8 year payback at $2,400 gold. And the NPV at current spot price is about $2 billion. At $2,400 gold, it's about 990 million. And that's just the 2 million ounce of reserves. It doesn't include the 1.6 million ounce measured and indicated or the 1.8 million ounce of inferred. So a lot of scalability to this project, which is what I was, when I look at stuff, to be a world-class deposit, you need to be able to support 500,000 ounces a year. So my focus is only trying to get involved in assets that can have that as a destination, the GPS.
Yeah.
This is one of the few that I see out there that can do it. And now we've got the permit for the first phase.
So, like, if we see a market for whatever reason that doesn't kind of shift your valuation, the depreciation of the share price, therefore the cost of your capital's impact, et cetera, how do you go about raising capital of that quantum for your capex? And does it make more sense for you if you can deliver that in the next few months to just genuinely build this thing out yourself and use this as some kind of ATM?
Well, I think where we see it is that we definitely want to build it and operate it.
Right. But I hear that all the time. You gotta forgive me
Yeah.
for asking, but
No,
yeah.
and I agree with you. I mean, a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of shareholders don't want people to do that. We've been successful at it in the past, and we think that that's the valid thing to do with this deposit because, if you look at what happened to Canadian Larder, we got put into a hostile. We sold it with 13.8 million ounces. Subsequently, Agnico's added over 20 million ounces to it, and that project is when we sold it was worth 4.1 billion. It now represents about $22 billion of Agnico's market cap. This, in our view, is a similar situation where we have a lot of asset value there that shareholders, hopefully will want to protect through the value process.
Right.
Now, the trick becomes, can we build value faster than we're spending money to build it? And in this case, I believe we can. We're producing gold at $1,157 an ounce. So in today's price, we're making over $2,000 an ounce in margin.
Right.
And our free cash flow per year, if we were producing today, would be $457 million a year. You can do a lot with $457 million a year.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty economic project. We're on BC Hydro's Site C power, so it's hydroelectric power at 6.6 cents Canadian kilowatt hour, 5 cents US. So the energy equation is in our favor as well. We've got low cost energy. We're in a region that needs jobs, and we're in a government that's very supportive of money. We got the permit to do this project in 4 years and 10 months. Okay, the current industry average is 14 years. And a shout out to the BC government for getting this done. First act of business of the NDP government, they got elected in November, was to divide energy and mining. They put a dedicated mining minister in. His first act of business, he's appointed minister on Tuesday. Called me Tuesday night. He said, Sean, meet me at the Terminal City Club tomorrow night. We're going to go on stage. We're going to announce your permit. And that'll be my first act as minister, is to give Osisko the Cariboo Gold project permit. So that's good support. And since then, we've had nothing but support from that government entity with what's going on in the U.S. with the trade wars and the tariff wars. I think Canadians have realized that the only thing that's not going to be under attack will be resource projects because you can't move them to Michigan and you can't move them to San Francisco like you can with a tech company or a car manufacturing company. These resources, the good news about resources in Canada is you can't move them across the border. No matter how many tariffs you put on it, it's not moving. So we've seen renewed energy from governments to want to see these projects develop now. And that's kind of new to the equation since Trump got elected.
Yeah.
We're the benefactor of that. And
Well, let's see what Carney does, right?
Carney is saying all the right things and doing all the right things. This project, I permitted it at 5,000 tons a day because I didn't want to fall under the federal EA process, which is law C-69. I would have permitted this project at 15 to 20,000 tons a day and come out swinging. However, we didn't want to get into that process, and you can't take an underground mine to 20,000 tons a day in 1 year anyways.
Yeah.
So we permitted for 5,000 tons a day, but that wasn't our concept. And now that we see the amount of energy that's being dedicated to reducing permitting times, this is the perfect project to take advantage of the moment.
I see a lot of companies having to kind of adjust their behaviors and their intent because of regulation, too much regulation is what I'm actually talking about. And I appreciate it may be hard to kind of comment here, but do you think that maybe the government does need to get out of a way of itself to allow you guys to actually do what you want to do, streamline, get rid of the red tape? And do you think that will happen in your lifetime?
I think we're making forward motion. The pendulum has swung, pretty hard to the over-bureaucratization of permitting process, the duplication of having both federal and provincial permits. You need one permitting process, not two.
Yeah.
The evolution of First Nations governments being involved in the permitting process is fairly nascent. So we're getting that solved. Our partners at Lataco, Dane, and Williams Lake done a great job in supporting this project, and one of the reasons we were able to get it done in under 5 years is because we had proper support from our host nations. So that's evolution. We're working really hard to make sure that the industry, as represented by us, does a good job. The new requirements in water management and social issues and the so-called ESG component really evolved over the last 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
We've kind of mastered that, and I think we've done a good job as a group of being not only net zero, but a positive effect in every aspect that we've touched. We built Canadian Arctic. We built the #1 tourist attraction in the region. We built an industrial park, and we affected a commercial park, and we built brand new residential areas.
Yeah.
So the collective impact of a mining project is not just what's behind the fence. And the more we evolve, and the more that these projects become integrated into overall solutions for society, like when we do northern mining, and we should be integrating military sites with mines in the Arctic. Let the mine pay for the infrastructure. Let the military take advantage of it. Those kind of integrations, and then let the First Nations have advantages that come with those infrastructure projects. Right now, the laws are if you finish mining, you have to tear everything down and reclaim the site. So there's evolution in what we can and can't do with the resource projects. Water management's a big topic, and we've evolved in that. I think we've got quite a few things that we're doing innovation-wise on water management, where we're releasing water far cleaner than what we're taking in. So that's we've got $100 million dedicated to water treatment. So that's a big step forward, and the social acceptability of our projects, and overall investability in the space. One of the things has been access to capital, and that's because the industry has had a bad name. But as we get more and more projects that are net positive, I think that goes away. Certainly the pendulum swung on ESG with the big groups like BlackRock and everybody backing away from the sort of extreme side of that and then saying, hey, we need these things. Yeah. The decarbonization movement has come to the conclusion that they need metal mining. I think the U.S. has named gold as a strategic metal now.
Yeah.
Because they see it as vital to their financial security. So we're seeing the industry become more popular again on an overall basis.
Okay. Well, G'day. It keeps up to date with how you're progressing. More importantly, the money equation. Because if that's the kind of the stepping point. Or step change, I should say, for the tipping point, then it'd be great to hear, what that package and then what that financial stack looks like. Time-wise, you promised we'd talk about Falco. So
sure.
Tell me about that. That's copper, gold, zinc, right?
Yeah, so Falco is located in Roosen, Quebec. It's the old Horn Mine, which has historic significance because that was the founding asset that built Noranda, which went on to be Xstrata and then Glencore. And it sits about 1,000 meters from the Glencore Horn Smelter. Okay. And it's the reason that the Horn Smelter was there. It produced 11 million ounces of gold, 25 million tons of copper from the first 600 meters. The rest of the deposit goes from 600 meters down to about 2,000 meters. Contains gold equivalent of over 7 million ounces. It's a project that I acquired from Xstrata back in the day in the Osisko 1 days. It's evolved, and now Luc Lessard, who was my chief operating officer, is running it. So it's a pretty exciting project from where I sit. It's taken us a while to get it sorted out. And we're hopeful that it receives a go-ahead permit this summer as well. Right. Which would unlock significant value. And it's located in the town of Rouyn-Noranda, which is not too far from Val-d'Or. It's part of the Abitibi. It's almost on the Ontario border. So it's right in a mining town, and I think it's going to be a good one. It's got a lot of development in it. There's a shaft down to 11,000 meters, or 1,100 meters. And there's underground development down to 2,000. So mostly what you have to do is dewater and develop and mine the plan that Noranda did. So it's a very interesting project, and it's worth people having a look at because it could be a big value unlock. Really? Okay, so it's a mining town, therefore one would hope support for that. You're going through a process at the moment, are you? So we've been through a public hearing process. We have support from the community. Right. The most recent polls came back 78% of the community supports the mine. And then the dewatering of it and the mining, it's an underground mine, so the footprint is already there because it was historic. We own the head frame winch. Yeah. So the big winder that does the lifting for the mining cycle is already there. Luc Lessard is a native of Quebec, and he was my chief operating officer when we built Canadian Malartic 50 kilometers away.
Yep.
So that's a big add. And then we've got Glencore as a partner. We got the asset from Xstrata, which later became Glencore. And the smelter is right beside it, which would want to take the concentrate. So it's a VMS deposit, so it's gold, copper, silver, some lead and zinc.
Okay. Can you tell me a bit more? You got 7 million ounces. What type of grades are we talking about?
It's gold equivalent, right?
Gold equivalents. Okay.
So about 60% of the revenue comes from gold.
Right.
The rest comes from I think it's 12% copper, silver, lead, zinc is the rest. And it's about a gold equivalent of about 2.4 to 2.6 grams.
Right. And in terms of the kind of financial makeup, the deal with Xstrata looked like what? I mean, is it just...
Oh, we bought it from Xstrata. They maintained an offtake agreement for the concentrate. So Falco owns it 100%.
Right. So what? No money changed hands.
They got paid over the years. Yeah,
They got paid over the years, right?
And they have some convertible stock into Falco.
Okay.
So they have an equity position within Falco as well.
Right. Okay. And the vision from you is what? Because there's going to be some rehabilitation, presumably. Get this thing up and running.
It's essentially dewatering and processing the water, and then rehabilitating the shaft down to 1,100 meters, and then underground development from the 1,100 meter level up to the 600,
and
then pushing down from there.
And then what? And tolling.
We think this thing's going to produce between 200,000 and 300,000 ounces a year.
And you're tolling, or you what do you?
No, it's an independent flotation circuit that would be built there, grinding and flotation.
Okay.
And then it would ship the concentrate across the road to the smelter. So
Okay. And what are the market cap? What's that looking like?
It's like $50 to $60 million right now, so it has a significant upside.
Early days.
Yeah, and if it receives a permit, it'll be one of 3 permitted mines in Canada. So,
right. So, and you're in that for what at the moment?
We own about 16.7% of it under Osisko Development, so Osisko Development shareholders will get some drive out of it.
Right.
But it's a company I founded back in the day, and then Luc Lessard took it over when we created the Accelerator Group, so it's run under his tutelage. He's based here in Quebec, and
okay.
I think it's an important project for Quebec, and I think the government will get it permitted here shortly.
Okay, you've come in and given a heads up. I've got a heads up. I'll go away and have a look
at it, and give the guys at Falco a call.
Yeah,
it's a very interesting story.
Okay, copper gold, very topical at the moment, isn't it?
It's a very nice deposit.
Right, we better go because I think Jason's probably outside waiting to talk about how our royalties.
Yeah.
So I appreciate your time, Sean. Good to see you.
Thank you very much,
enjoying the show?
and all the best to the shareholders. And
yeah.
No, we've always had a good interaction with the Crux shareholders and then Washer. So appreciate what you guys are doing, and anything we can do to encourage questions or ask your questions. If there's anything sector wide, always happy to sit on a panel or comment if needed. So.
And we'll take you up on that.
All good.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank
Cheers.
you very much.
Bye.